White male professor allegedly posed as a woman of color to bully women. And so this is out of the Daily Beast by a Kelly Wheel. And here he is pictured here. The science femme claimed to be a female academic. She claimed to have upended efforts by her social justice obsessed department to draft a statement condemning racism. And when Twitter users accused her of racism, she claimed to be a woman of color herself and an immigrant to boot. But the science femme who tweeted from the handle at Penny the wasn't any of those things digital sleuths began alleging late last month. Instead, they claimed that she was Craig Chapman, and here he is pictured here, a white male assistant professor of chemistry at the University of New Hampshire. So this is becoming a crazy trend. The allegations bolstered by an internal chemistry department email would make Chapman at least the fourth now white academic revealed to have posed as a person of color in the recent weeks. So in 3 of those cases, academics are accused of shamelessly trying to further their own careers. But in Chapman's case, Twitter users who came in contact with @PennyThe say the account harassed women working in science. The University of New Hampshire said the incident was under investigation. So the UNH, which is the University of New Hampshire, was recently made aware of the allegations on social media about a member of its faculty. A spokesperson told the Daily Beast, "So we are deeply troubled by what we have learned so far and immediately launched an investigation." The employee at the center of the allegation on social media is on leave and not in the classroom. In order to protect the integrity of the ongoing investigation, the university is unable to comment further. Chapman himself did not return repeated requests for comment for the story. Both his account @PennyThe were deleted last week. Susanna Harris, a microbiology PhD holder who currently works in science communications, first noticed the @PennyThe Twitter account in July. They put out this huge long thread about how they, as a woman of color in science, a professor, made a big change in their university by shutting down diversity, equity, and inclusion work. Harris, who is white, told the Daily Beast. So Harris wasn't the only person to make note of the thread in which @PennyThe claimed to have been successful in killing my department's woke statement on recent social unrest. So the viral thread earned write-ups in conservative publications like Red State, which lauded the efforts to derail an anti-racism statement. So some academics were suspicious of the claims coming from an anonymous professor at an unnamed university. So I did a little bit of poking around to see if there was any chance that this was a real person, Harris recalled. I've been on Twitter for a while and nothing about their account said anything to make me think that this is a genuine account. Other Twitter users had raised similar concerns earlier this year. @PennyThe was an especially combative Twitter personality who frequently tangled with the left online. The account described a female opponent in explicit anatomical terms on at least one occasion, repeatedly railed against transgender people, and posted censored nude pictures of former Representative Katie Hill. Hill was a former California politician who resigned last year after those pictures were made public in an alleged revenge pornography campaign. When users accused the account of attacking people of color, as one did in September @PennyThe frequently claimed to be one. themselves. So, you know I'm a woman of color, right? Racist, the account responded. But some of the at Penny Love's tweets teased highly specific personal details like that their brother owned a brewery. Later, the account tweeted a recommendation for a small New Jersey brewery owned by Craig Chapman's brother as Twitter sleuths like the account at Drama Science noted. So his brother could not immediately be reached for comment. Other similarities at Penny the and Chapman, like fandom for Chicago sports teams, New Jersey origins, and knowledge of niche chemistry fields abound. Some of the similarities were more glaring than others. So in April, both at Penny the and Chapman tweeted the same photo picture of a coffee home brewing setup within minutes of each other with similar captions. The picture does not appear to have been uploaded anywhere else on the internet, and both accounts tweeted about marinating meat, with both appearing to tweet pictures of the same baking tray on the same marble countertop. Although a few Twitter users had noted their suspicions about the account for nearly a year, those whispers grew louder in late September after at Piney or at Penny the came into conflict with several female academics. So Harris included. She was among those who had previously tweeted in opposition to Mike Adams, a University of North Carolina professor who was famous for his anti-feminist stances. So Adams and the University of North Carolina arrived at an agreement by which he would retire in August and receive $500,000 settlement upon leaving. So he died by suicide in July. So at Penny the, which had more than 13,000 followers at the time of its deletion last week, was one of the key factors stoking what Harris said was a subsequent harassment campaign against her. So they were literally saying that I had killed Adams, that I had blood on my hands, that I had pushed him into suicide, she said. So that was when the tide had changed, and when I started getting emails from anonymous people saying that they hope that I die, that they will dox me. So the bile renewed some of Harris's previous suspicions at Penny the authenticity. So if she was right that this was a bogus Twitter personality claiming to speak for the marginalized, it wouldn't be the first time. White academics faking their racial and ethnic identity has emerged as a troubling trope in the year of racial justice protests. So in September, white Georgetown University professor Jessica Krug resigned after she was revealed to have faked a series of Black and Hispanic identities in order to further her career as an Africana academic. Later that month, University of Madison, Wisconsin graduate student C.V. Vitolo Hadid resigned from a teaching position after it was also revealed that they had also falsely claimed to be Black. Those scandals came a month after former Vanderbilt University assistant professor Beth Ann McLaughlin was revealed to have been behind a long-running Twitter account that claimed to be a Native American science professor at Arizona State University. McLaughlin had previously used a fake professor's popular Twitter account to promote a petition to give McLaughlin a tenure position at Vanderbilt. The ruse was only exposed when McLaughlin claimed the non-existent professor died of COVID-19. Ironically, at Penny, the made fun of race faking when it came from liberals, sharing a meme of Elizabeth Warren with a caption of growing up Chinese in South Detroit, a struggled and struggling as an African American Jewish boy, and Warren has dubiously claimed Native American ancestry and subsequently apologized for it. And so Harris was thinking about McLaughlin's case in late September when she decided to tweet about her doubts about at Penny the. So she asked the anonymous account to provide evidence that they were a woman, in fact, a woman of color, and offered to delete her own account if the account of Craig Chapman shortly before both accounts were deleted last week. And so, okay, so let me go back into that because I jumped. So it says, delete her own account if this was proven wrong. So she basically, what she did was, she told Chapman that if Craig Chapman at the time, nobody knew, that if they could prove that they were a woman of color, that they would honor that as such and then delete their account, this person. So basically, they gave them that ultimatum. But other academics soon seized on similarities between at Penny's Buzz account and Craig Chapman shortly before both accounts were deleted last week. So the internal email shared by department members and previously reported by local media, University of New Hampshire chemistry chair Glenn Miller suggests those fears were well founded. So the fake Twitter account was in fact set up and run by Craig himself, which read the email obtained by the Daily Beast. So this is what was alleged. So there were a large number of things written by Craig that range from unfortunate to hurtful to deeply offensive. These statements did not represent me nor the collegial, collaborative, accepting department in which I have had the privilege to work for the past 25 years. So everyone is entitled to their opinion, of course, but when those opinions are dismissive or hurtful or harmful to others, it is not okay with me. So I reject those statements and their intent wholeheartedly, but even so, I do not reject Craig. I am not giving up on Craig. So the letter went on to describe Chapman as embarrassed and overwhelmed and shell-shocked. He fears that this could be the end of his academic career. I hope it is not, and I told him so. So Chapman would come clean and express remorse to a colleague soon, Miller wrote. Miller, who did not return for the request of comment, also accused Chapman accusers of being highly motivated to reveal Craig as a person responsible for the fake Twitter account and to inflict damage on him as well. So he urged readers not to speak to the media about the incident. So the University of New Hampshire graduate students protested what they believed to be the rogue professor Twitter activities last week, marching with signs on campus. So this has got a lot of people in an uproar behind all of this. Craig Chapman does not speak for us. One sign read, Miller said, sorry, we say get out, read another. So a lot of the students aren't feeling this because it's betrayal. So in the eyes of the students, because you're not being honest and forthright, and they allegedly assume that you faked an account. And look what's happening in our world today. We have a lot of protests, a lot of civil unrest, a lot of awakenings going on, and so to do something like this, and it's a COVID-19, a pandemic, and a lot of people who are in marginalized groups have suffered behind a lot of this. And so now you have some professors who are basically going under the identities, the perceived identities, as if they're people of color when they're in fact not in those marginalized groups. And so it's just portrayal, because here you have students that look to you for direction and for guidance, and for not only respect in academia, but to have an etiquette and also some confidentiality, that they know that you're going to be trustworthy, that they're going to get not only a good education, but they can trust that they can trust you as a person that is trying to help for the greater good. But here you've got people that are allegedly faking their identities. And what does that say to the future forthcoming? So Harris argued the incident, back to the article, that the other recent cases of academics feigning their identities sap resources from some of the very people Chapman posed as. So that's basically what I said, but in a more shorter term. So it's sort of the extreme version of cultural appropriation, she said. So they take the small protections of the scraps of the support of the women of color and other people who have, and they use them as to leverage against the exact population. And so that is sad. And so we don't need more of that. We need none of that. So this is really sad. Seems to be a horrible trend, one that's definitely got to go. And so I definitely think that we probably, unfortunately, may even see more of this going on. And so white academics faking their racial and ethnic identity has emerged in 2020 and 2021, and who knows where this is going to end up. So here he is here, Craig Chapman, and he was in fact posing as an immigrant female on his Twitter account, and so to bully other women of color and other women, period. And so this is very problematic and troubling. So um, just other women, if you had like different points of view, or you politically were not in the same um, frame of mind or had the same ideologies, he used that as the platform to bully the other women who were opinionated. And so this is really crazy. But yeah, so a lot is going on where apparently now this is becoming the horrible trend to fake identities on these websites. And I said that I don't know if I said this in the past, but I believe a lot of times when you get people on, if it's Twitter, if it's any of these sites, when you start talking about or having any videos or any opinions or anything, voicing any concern about political situations, that you'll have people that'll fight you tooth and nail online, verbally, and they'll taunt you, they'll harass your accounts, they'll leave crazy messages, and a lot of times those people are not even who they say they are, and they get on there just to do it because they're part of hate groups, or they're just on there to create chaos and melee on the internet, you know. And so they somehow, maybe they get a rise out of that, that's entertainment, or maybe they're from a particular political ideology, or maybe they're from a particular agenda or group where they have some type of opposition against whatever you stand for, or whatever they would think you stand for. And maybe if you don't, even if you're not claiming to be a part of anything, maybe because they know that you might be a woman or you might be from whatever marginalized group, so they're on there to specifically attack you. And so you have people that will pose as someone else. But lately, what we've been having is people that are posing to be black or Hispanic, or they're from some type of group that's been, oppressed or marginalized in some particular way. And that seems to be the growing trend. And they use this to further and advance their careers, even to even get media attention. They get more media attention than people who have actually been victimized by violence, um, based on their gender or their race. And it's crazy. And it's like, somebody that's really looking for help, or they're reaching for some kind of guidance and assistance in a troubling situation, they get a little bit of attention to the point to where it's not held long enough, it's ignored, and they basically have to have an outcry of protest to get people to try to even look to consider giving them justice. And a lot of times that doesn't work. Here you have these people that pose as if they're black or Hispanic, and they get all this attention from media, and it's sad. And so they use it to further their careers. So it's gone to that level. And so to have somebody do something like this on top of what's going on and what people are experiencing is it's beyond wrong. So having said that, I'm going to let this video go. Like, comment, subscribe. What are your thoughts on this? It's really sad, but I don't think it's going to be the last time we see this. But it is definitely becoming a trend because it's happening all too frequent as well. So having said that, thanks for listening.